Milton Anderson, the brother of Kitty Menendez, does not believe Eric and Lyle's claim that they were molested by their father. The attorney who represented Anderson told Elizabeth Vargas on this show in October that Anderson believes the two brothers should remain behind bars. We're expecting the DA to make a statement in just a couple of hours following his meeting with the family today. To help break it all down, we are joined by former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani. Neama, great to see you again. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me, Anna.
Of course. So what do you think he'll say when we get the details in just a few hours about how that meeting went?
That's going to be fascinating. I don't know what Nathan Hochman's going to say, and I used to work with him. He's really played his cards close to the vest, both during the election and even after he was elected. Now, obviously, this case has drawn a lot of both support and criticism for Eric and Lyle here in Southern California, where I am right now. There are folks who believe that they were sexually abused and they should be released after 35 years. And there's a large group of people who think that they should spend the rest of their life in prison, or maybe should have even faced the death penalty for killing their parents the way that they did. This is going to be the first really big decision for Hochman, and after his predecessor was viewed as being soft on crime, and it really may shape his legacy as LA County District Attorney.
How influential do you think the family coalition will be in trying to convince this new LA DA to support the brothers' resentencing, knowing where he's standing now? Sorry.
I think they'll be very influential. And obviously, California, like every other state, has a version of Marcy's Law that says victims of a crime, they have a right to be heard. And it's pretty rare for victims to almost universally support the release of their killers. Now, obviously, there are family members of Eric and Lyle as well, but except for really Kitty's brother, the family members have been pretty vocal in support of Eric and Lyle. And the reason this is important is they filed a habeas petition through their attorney, Mark Garagos, but that's going to be an uphill legal battle. It's going to be very hard to prove that the brothers acted in self-defense. Even if they were sexually abused, it's not a license to kill. And even if the self-defense argument pertains to their father, Jose, it's a very difficult argument with respect to their mother, Kitty, to say that they needed to use deadly force to protect themselves. And that use of force was necessary and imminent, especially when one of the brothers had moved out. So you're really talking about this amorphous interest of justice standard, and the family members almost universally come out in support of the brothers. I think that is an important factor the district attorney has to consider.
But Neama, how about that lone family holdout, Milton Anderson? How important is his contrarian opinion, at least to Hochman?
Well, I think it's important, and not just because it's contrarian, but the fact that he firmly believes the brothers killed their parents for financial reasons. They were going to be written out of their will, and they wanted access to the money, and they did go on that shopping spree. I think that's what the opponents of this resentencing are pointing to, and said this wasn't about sexual abuse at all. That was fabricated after the fact. These are individuals that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in the 90s after they killed their parents, after they shot their father 6 times, reloaded, and shot their mother 10 times. So I think that's the important factor that Kitty's brother is pointing to.
Many are calling the initial resentencing push a desperate effort by Gascon to boost his fledgling campaign. We saw how that went. So how likely is Hochman to support it, knowing that it didn't go very well for his predecessor?
Well, this is all political. And like you said, the original habeas petition was filed, I believe, in May of 2023, only well into the campaign. After the Netflix series Monsters came out, did Gascon have a press conference and talk about Eric and Lyle Menendez? No one was talking about them at all. And it just really shows the power of a Netflix series, the power of popular opinion, and really how important it is for these district attorneys and candidates to get votes. And it was all political. I've never seen anything like this, where a district attorney comes out and has a press conference supporting the resentencing of someone who's been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And there's even one other political layer here. Let's not forget, Gascon recommended the possibility of parole. He recommended sentencing the brothers to 50 to life. Why is that important? Is Governor Gavin Newsom, he's the one that has to approve any parole board recommendation. He, of course, can commute their sentence immediately, but even if Hochman or the judge in the case says Eric and Lyle are eligible for parole, ultimately it's going to be the governor that decides whether they're released or not.
Hochman is saying he has to review all the evidence. You know better than I do. There's a lot of evidence here, including the Beverly Hills Police Department that was never interviewed. How long can a review like this take?
It can take a long time, and there's been a lot of upheaval and turmoil within the office itself. Gascon had essentially a resentencing division. A lot of prosecutors in that office thought that he was essentially a defense attorney acting as a prosecutor. So there are a lot of people, and they've been on this show and on NewsNation that work at the LA County District Attorney's Office. They've come out in their individual capacity, and they said that they don't support the resentencing. So I think Hochman needs to talk to the folks who actually handled the case, both in terms of the law enforcement and the prosecutors, to get their perspective. By all accounts, the brothers have been model inmates. One of them got their college degree. They have served a lot of time. So if I had to guess, if you put a gun to my head, bad pun, I think it's likely, I think Hochman's going to go along with a resentencing request, but it's going to be interesting to see what he says at that press conference today at 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, we'll be watching it. I know you will too. Also, terrible pun, but really love the expertise you brought to the show. Neama Rahmani, thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for having me.
Of course.